Guys, so this is What's Good for Manhunt. This is a biopic mini series on Apple TV. It consists of 7 episodes, about 15 minutes to an hour each. And I do want to preface this before I begin. I definitely feel if you are somebody who likes history, if you are somebody who, in regards to a particular event, you maybe want to know a little bit more about, this is definitely maybe a show for you. If you are somebody who's not into history or, a particular event, maybe it's not the show for you. Essentially, what this kind of goes over is the assassination attempts on Abraham Lincoln, Vice President Andrew Johnson, and the Secretary of State in 1865. And it goes over the journey of capturing John Wilkes Booth and company, and later you will see them facing trial. Why, for myself, I'm kind of recommending this again, if you are somebody who's really into history or you just want to know about the event, I think it does a very good job of depicting the events. You see them from kind of two different perspectives, definitely from like John Wilkes' perspective, as well as Edwin Stanton, Secretary of War's perspective, where, Edwin is trying to track down people involved in this attempt because he is very close with Abraham Lincoln. That was one of his closest friends. And then you have John Wilkes Booth and how did this all kind of come to be for him? It was there kind of a conspiracy involved, what was kind of going on, what was happening, those kinds of things. I think it dives a little bit deeper into not only John Wilkes Booth, but also everyone else that he was kind of working with in their involvement. And that's something where I do understand with events like this. There are definitely other movies, there are definitely other sources out there, and it always brings into the question when it comes to biopics, how many do we need on a topic? And I definitely understand where there are time periods we focus definitely 10 times more than others. Definitely the Civil War and definitely World War II. You can throw in the Revolutionary War if you wish, but I definitely know Civil War and World War II, that's kind of the time periods that a lot of people focus on half the time. And I think it's just because those are events that a good majority of people know. And there's a lot of things too, I think, that go into it, whether it is that kind of different perspective aspect, people who were involved, but in those other movies, you didn't see that, or there wasn't anything written about that. So that's, I think, one of the reasons for myself when it comes to this biopic miniseries, why I kind of recommend it just like a tad more than some of the other ones I've kind of heard of, but this one I think just does a deeper dive. And personally, I was very engaged. There were things, again, I'm somebody who I love history a lot. And when I learned this event, we did not go into like everyone who was involved. We just knew about John Wilkes Booth. But essentially, we kind of went through like, hey, this is what happened, how many days, this is where he was found, this is what happened. It wasn't that much of a deep dive, but you knew enough to kind of like understand. And that's what I liked when watching this. I like, oh yeah, I learned that in school, or, learning things in association with what I already knew, getting a fuller, like a bigger understanding. So that's kind of why, again, in my opinion, why I'm recommending this a little bit. How it's done, who they have. Honestly, I didn't watch it for like a particular star. There are some big names in this. There are people that you might recognize, and that is always a plus. But for myself, that's not what drew me. For some reason, I was just like, hey, let's start this show. And me and my significant other watched, and my significant other is not a history person, but he got really into it. So if he can get into it, maybe you can too. But that is up to you. And if you want to watch it, definitely go for it, watch it. But you know, it's well done. I think it's well, like, not planned out, but just how it's kind of timeline. They do have flashbacks, so then you understand, given, you know, what's going on in their present time, why people might be upset. You get to see a lot of historical figures that, you know, make a small appearance. I just think it's a good show. I very much recommend it. Again, if you are somebody who's into a biopic, a historical event, or you just want to give it a go, I definitely recommend it. I think it's very well done. If you've watched this show, please feel free to leave your thoughts down below on what you thought of this, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.